Hi everyone, and thanks for joining me today. I'm so excited to be able to share with you today one of my favorite games called The Extraordinaires. Now, one of sort of the buzzwords that we hear often these days is design thinking. And a lot of times when we see schools or companies or people venture towards design thinking, we tend to see it more of something being separate from what it is that they do. So for example, if you're doing design thinking in schools, it tends to be the spaces that are the maker spaces or the innovation labs and areas like that. One of the things that we want to be able to do is make design thinking mainstream, and the Extraordinaires is a perfect way to get started. One of the most famous design thinking activities out there comes from the Stanford D School, and they have two different introductory activities that they have on their website. One is gift giving, and the other is the wallet project. And the wallet project tends to be my favorite one because it's something really relatable that everybody can kind of really get into very quickly. And a lot of times when I'm doing workshops, I like to begin with an initial experience, jumping in with the idea of design thinking as something that you can do to frame your curriculum can often be a little bit challenging for others to sort of visualize. So beginning with an initial experience that's sort of stress-free, content-free, allows everyone to sort of understand the different stages that are involved and really just experience it for themselves. Like I always say, if you want to introduce an idea, the best way to bring it to people is to let them have an experience where they can feel it and really visualize and be able to see exactly what's going on. And then it's so much easier for them to get the ideas for how they're going to translate that into other areas of their world. I've dropped a link down to the wallet project below, so if you want to check it out, definitely do so. Like I said, it's a great way to provide people with an initial experience. You can sort of run the activity anywhere between 60 to 90 minutes. It really kind of just depends on how much time you have. If you wanted to, you could probably even shorten it, but I do recommend really allowing people to dive into that initial experience so that they have a frame of reference to refer back to once you start talking about how to use it in other areas that are more applicable to what it is that they do. So once we're done with the wallet project, one of my favorite things to introduce, like I said, is the Extraordinaires. I think it's an absolutely brilliant game. And one of the biggest things that I found when doing design thinking workshops with, companies and with schools and with teachers and with students is that they have a really hard time translating the ideas from design thinking into the actual things it is that they do. What I love about the Extraordinaires is that it makes everything very, very tangible. It's a great game that sort of begins with these different characters. So each kit has a different number of pieces that come along with it. You can get kits that start at $19.99 and ones that sort of go up from there. And it's kind of up to you which one you think is going to work best for your situation. I personally got the full Design Pro Studio, comes with the full kit and everything's included. So in the Extraordinaires, you start off with different character cards and you can kind of let people choose or you can assign the cards out to the different individuals that you have. What I love about this also is that this can be an individual activity, but it can also be an activity that you do together with a group. Again, there's a lot of flexibility with how you can go about structuring the activity. So once everybody gets their assigned character cards, there are 5 different categories that you can choose from for what it is you're going to end up designing for your characters. So you've got buildings, you've got gadgets, you've got clothing, you've got housing, and you've got transportation. Now again, it's going to be up to you to decide, do you want to randomly distribute these or do you want your participants to choose what it is that they would like to design? Now, this is where it gets really interesting because you've got a character, completely non-fictional character, and now you've got this design challenge for what it is you're going to be designing for this particular character. And one of the interesting things that then comes up, because remember, like I said, I start with the wallet project activity from the Stanford D School, is the difference between what it's like designing for a real person versus what it's like designing for a fictional character. And I think it's these fictional characters that make it very easy for people to begin to see where design thinking can fall into what it is that they do. So for example, if you are a history teacher, one of the things that immediately comes to mind is oh, I could replace these character cards with historical figures and have my students design for those historical figures. If you're a company, one of the things that comes to mind immediately are the different personalities that we encounter in the workplace and how might we design things for these different personality types. And so one of the things you can sort of see is just in that initial phase of having a character and having a design challenge, there are so many great conversations that can emerge from this activity. So in the first phase of design thinking, we begin with empathy. And that's one of the reasons why I'm a really strong advocate for the design thinking process, no matter what industry, no matter what field it is, personal, professional. That component there of beginning with empathy is really, really, really key, in my personal opinion, to solving many of the challenges that we are confronted with. So if we can give the people these skills in school, in the workplace, they're going to then help them translate it into other areas of their lives. So back to the Extraordinaires. You begin with your character, and the first thing is to really begin to empathize with your character. What are their needs? What are their wants? What are their desires? What kind of environment are they living in? What are some of their difficulties? What are some of the opportunities that are available to them? And then when you get your design challenge, you now have a frame of reference within which to design for your character. And this is one of those areas where you can really help whoever you're working with develop skills into really being able to empathize with others. And again, remember, you're working with fictional characters, which I think for a lot of people sort of is like a sigh of relief because they don't have to worry about hurting someone's feelings or making a judgment or a wrong impression. And so starting off with these fictional characters for some people can definitely be easier, and for others more challenging because again, it's a fictional character on a card, so there's no feedback coming from the person, but giving you a lot more creative imagination to be able to think of the world it is that they're coming from. So next in design thinking, we have the define phase. And this is where, after spending a few moments or whatever time it is you've allotted, the individuals can now come and define the problem. One of the things that I love about the Stanford D School is they have a template for this. Who needs what, because why? And using this sentence as a frame of reference, your group participants can now go ahead and define what problem it is that they're going to be solving for their particular character. So we move on there into the ideate phase, which is phase 3, and that's really where, they get to brainstorm. Some of the kits do come with paper, but obviously at some point you're going to run out. Whether it's paper that they're working on, whether it's their iPad or computer, Post-it notes, whatever it is that they're comfortable with, this is where they're going to begin brainstorming all the different possibilities for what it is they can design for this character. Now, a lot of times when you get your design card and you have your character, there's something sort of immediate that already kind of pops into your mind. And that's, again, one of the opportunities you have for conversation. How do we start with a blank slate? How do we start by not pressing our own ideas and our own designs that we have for this particular character, but rather how do we really bring it back, empathize with the character, and then really design something it is that's going to meet their specific needs. From there, you move into the prototype phase, and this is where, again, you have a lot of flexibility with the Extraordinaires game. This is where you can bring different materials, pipe cleaners and felt and buttons and pins and, popsicle sticks, and, if you've got more sort of fancier equipment, this is where you can bring in your 3D printers and things like that. But this is really the stage where now students get to actually build out their creation. And if you don't have any of the materials, that's fine as well. They can really kind of just maybe make a more detailed diagram on their piece of paper. They can maybe do a SketchUp in something like Tinkercad, or perhaps they could even sketch it up on a different drawing application they might have. It's really, again, like I said, there's so much flexibility with where it is that you want to take this activity and this project. So once your participants have developed their prototype, from here, what I personally like to do if I'm doing this in a workshop or in a group setting, I like to put all the prototypes out on display and sort of do a little walk around where all the participants can come around and see all the different things that they've designed. This is where we'll then have the participants introduce their prototypes, and share a little bit about the story, about what it is that they designed for their character, what the problem was, what the need was, and what solution it is they came up with. And it's a really nice opportunity for everybody to kind of present their different ideas. And people are really proud a lot of times of the things that they've created. So it's a great opportunity for them to be able to share, and really is inspiring for others to see how much we can come up with in such a short period of time by working through these different stages.
So these guys' character is a robot, and they are having some really interesting discussions about, does a robot think or not think? That the robot's giving out to people? Expressive emoticons, is that how he's thinking?
Yes. He's just taking it all in.
Now, one of the things that I really appreciated about the Extraordinaire game were something called think cards that they include. A lot of times when you are introducing design thinking to a group of people, many people really struggle with digging deeper in the empathy phase. And a lot of times there are just certain things that you just kind of don't think about these characters, or even the real people it is that you are interviewing. What questions should I ask them? How can I dig deeper? What are some of the ways in which I can learn more about this individual? And so what I love about these think cards is that they are sort of little prompts along the way if somebody gets stuck. So say you have somebody who's looking at their character, and maybe you've given them 10 minutes to be able to really kind of empathize and get to know this character, and after 3 minutes they're like, oh, I'm done, I know everything I need to know. That's where these think cards can really come in handy. So for example, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the think cards for vehicles. So one of the things that they say over here is, what journey might your extraordinaire need to make in the vehicle that you're designing? Will they be a driver or will they be a passenger? And again, these are just such clever little prompts to really kind of keep the conversation momentum going. Will they be transporting other people or other goods? And there's another one over here. Imagine what documenting the day-to-day journey of the extraordinaire might be like. Consider some of the places they might like to go and visit. And so again, if you're designing a vehicle, this really gives you now so much more to think about. Like, is this going to be something that can work on land and sea? Is this something that's going to work in the desert and in the city? Is it going to work in, what types of weather might this vehicle be able to sustain itself in? And so just so many extra little prompts along the way. Now, one of the things that we know about design thinking is that it is an iterative process. So, once they've developed the prototype, there's actually something over here called improve on the think card as well. So in this particular one, what kind of storage solutions might you be able to add to improve the vehicle? Consider both personal items and like cargo type goods. So again, I absolutely love the think cards. I think they are such great prompts for deeper inquiry that can really help facilitate the activity and just again, make people think just a little bit deeper and really kind of develop some of those skills about thinking a little bit more outside the box. Now, the Extraordinaires does also have a companion app available both on iOS and Android. And what's great about the app is that this is a place where people can go to upload the different prototypes it is that they have created. So again, kind of really modeling the ability and really just the power to be able to share your work with an authentic audience, with others. It's so fun to be able to browse the gallery and see all of the other things that people have created, and also be able to add your own into the mix as well. This is also such a great way to think about storytelling and really the power of storytelling and the audiences that we can reach, and how it is that you're going to tell your story about your character and what it is that you have designed for them. So you can actually wrap up your activity with one more special piece that's included in the Extraordinaire game, and those are the award cards. And the award cards are really special because they kind of cater to all of the different elements of the game, but really allowing people with different strengths in different areas to be able to be recognized for the work it is that they have done. And of course, you could always add and modify your awards accordingly as well if you had some more ideas for different categories you wanted to include. But I'll share some of them. They've got the most useful design, they've got the best single feature, the best presentation and storytelling, best piece of research, and most wildly inventive design. So a little bit of something for everybody there. One of the things I think is also really important to note about the Extraordinaires is it's really not limited to any sort of particular group. If you're a parent, this is a great activity to do with your child, or really even a group of their friends when they're hanging out one day. If you are a school, this is such a great activity to do with your faculty, really being able to let them dive into the design thinking process themselves before really thinking about how they're going to implement it into the classroom. Because like I said, the importance of that initial experience and the time really to reflect and just kind of think about through an experience of your own how you might be able to bring that to your own teaching and learning, I think is so valuable. This is such a great activity to do in a workplace, really helping you strengthen the culture and communication and collaboration between people. Being able to get people to empathize with others, or just being able to understand empathy as a skill, I think is so essential in today's world, and really being able to navigate and deal with the rapid changes that we see around us. I hope you enjoyed today's overview of the Extraordinaire game. I hope you'll check it out. If you do, I'd love to hear about your experience and have you share some of your prototypes with me as well. Drop me a line in the comments below and let me know how it went. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for much more. Have a great day, everyone. Until next time, bye.